Hey there guys, it's METAGAMESGX here, and this is going to be my full Dracotail guide for the new Justice Hunters TCG Yu-Gi-Oh format. If you want to know what the new Dragontail deck does, aka Dracotail over here in the TCG, this is going to be the video for you. You're going to learn the most important combos that you need to be doing into this new format. We're going to be showing you guys the pure variant, so let's get right into it, guys. Leave a like down below. If this video gets to 150 likes, we are going to, of course, do a full Dracotail branded guide, because this is the pure variant. Now, there will be one branded combo in there, because we will show you guys why. And comment down below what your favorite part of this video was, what your favorite combo was. Will you be playing Dracotail? And with that being said, let's get right into it. So of course we're going to go over card by card what these cards do, so you're familiarized with it. This is going to be useful even if you know the cards, because you're going to be seeing them over the next year essentially. This is going to be a very meta deck. So guys, Dragontail starts with the Dragontail Femina. This card is incredible. It's a card that's generic too, which is pretty cool for other decks. But during the main phase quick effect, you can discard this card for cost and then fusion summon a dragon or spellcaster fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters on your hand or field. So this is a quick effect polymerization from hand, which is something that most decks have always wanted in their arsenal. So you already know that this archetype is off to a good start, but then also you will see that all the Dragontails have this funny effect in the main deck, that if the Dragontail monster is sent from the field to, or sent to the graveyard as a material for a fusion summon anyway, you can set one Dragontail spell or trap from your deck, and you can only use that effect once per turn. So I'm not going to repeat myself, but basically all the Dragontail monsters have that effect, which makes it kind of like Tearlaments or Shaddoll, where if they're used as fusion materials, they pay for themselves and generate more advantage. This is how you make a modern fusion deck really good, honestly. And this is also usable on your opponent's turn, so that means this could be an interruption on your opponent's turn. And you guys will see Dragontail has interruptions in Engine. Each Dragontail monster has a funny effect essentially on top of its graveyard effect. Dragontail Muller is most analogous to a Blazing Cartesia for the Engine. It is a quick effect during the main phase to fusion summon one Dragontail fusion monster from your hand, field, and then you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except for fusion monsters. Then of course it's graveyard effect. But this card's incredible. It's a dark dragon, so it's incredible typing, whether it's for lines with other decks, aka branded, or just having an on-field presence that you can even summon off of a seals, right? Because it's a generic dragon. So giving you an access to have a monster that's a quick effect fusion is definitely something that this deck appreciates, and this will be a very common way to start your engine or even just layer your end board. Now, your Rhoda of the deck in terms of a monster card is a Dragontail Lucius, basically the Stratos of the deck. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add one Dragontail monster from your deck to your hand except for Lucius, and then of course it has its graveyard effect. So this card will be a great card, but it's not a one card combo, as you guys can see, because you can go Lucius, search Femina, but then you can't do anything. So the key with Dragontail is you always need a monster in hand to fusion summon, because they all require a monster in hand for all the fusion material, for all the Dragontail fusion monsters as a material. As we see, the Dragontail Aetherion requires one Dragontail monster plus one monster in the hand, and then the other one, Dragontail Grimmel, requires one monster in the hand plus a Dragontail monster. So that means when you're going Muller, you can send itself plus a hand trap, and then you can kind of just full combo from there, because Aetherion has a cool effect where it's fusion summon. You can target monsters on the field or in graveyard up to the number of monsters used as material, and then return them to the hand. So this is a board breaker, but then also it can recur your own engine. You guys will see in a combo that Femina is actually a great card in this deck, because you're going to use her twice through her combo, once to fusion summon and then once to recur, then to fuse on your opponent's turn. So there's a real rhythm to this deck. It's almost like Voiceless Voice, though, because it is low to the ground, as you guys can see. There isn't a whole lot of just 10 card or 10 line combos. These are really low to the ground combos, but all your cards generate a ton of advantage when they go off. So yeah, you're gonna play under Nib, And yeah, you're going to summon under 5, but you're still going to make a very good end board. So it's almost kind of like Centurion in that aspect. Now let's talk about the board breakers, because of course Muller has its graveyard effect. If this card is sent to the graveyard as fusion material, you can set one Dracotail Speller Trap from the deck, and then you can negate the effects of one face-up monster your opponent control. So basically there are 3 Dracotail monsters that are also board breakers when they're sent to the graveyard as fusion material, which makes it so that these cards are great going second. You have the Muller, you also have Pan, which if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can also set a Speller Trap, but then you can destroy one monster on the field. So that makes it so that when you fusion summon into your opponent's turn, you're already breaking their board, which is already really useful. And then of course this monster also has a graveyard effect. If a face-up fusion monster you control is destroyed by opponent's card effect while this card is in your graveyard, you can place this card to the bottom of your deck if you do special summon one non-fusion Dracotail monster from your graveyard. So this card just helps with the general grind game. This really is a 1 or 2 of in most builds. It is one of the more brickier ones because it's a level 7. However, it's a great utility, a great just brick to help the consistency, the grind game, and the ceiling of your deck. And then you have Urgula, which is actually a little better. You see this as actually a 2 to 3 of in most builds. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can set one and then destroy one Speller Trap. So it's great for getting rid of Speller Trap cards. It's, you know, you're never going to really lose to too many floodgates because of all of these monsters having these board breaking outs. And then you guys won't, I mean, of course we have Altharion too, which is a board breaker, but then, this card also in the graveyard. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target one spellcaster Dracotail monster in your graveyard, place this card to the bottom of your deck, and if you do, add that monster to your hand. So this deck has amazing recurrence. All the cards do something for you, whether it's on the crackback where you get to basically spin back a card and then just always have follow-up, or it is like when you're trying to break a board with Muller. Okay, you can start one card Muller, go Muller effect, fuse, and then you already are breaking their board. Also, this guy is so important to your grind game because when he's in the graveyard, you can spin him back to your bottom of the deck, and then you can target one spellcaster Dracotail monster, aka Phymena, which is your best one on your opponent's turn. And you can do this on every single combo. You basically just want to always be sending Urgula through like Rahu Dracotail, or just like however you can get him into rotation. This is your best kind of turn 1 play to get your Phymena back into hand and generate as much advantage as possible. This is how you maximize advantage in Dracotail, is really maximizing your Urgula usage with Phymena. Super key. But get this deck is so good because it has its own branded fusion, guys. That's the crazy part, right? This fusion the Rahu Dracotail lets you fusion summon one Dracotail monster from your extra deck using monsters on hand, field, or graveyard, or sorry, hand, deck, or field, and then you cannot special, and then you get fusion locked. So you of course have to send one monster from your hand to the graveyard, so it's not a complete branded fusion, but still very good because this just unbricks a lot of hands. All you need is a single monster in hand to make this card useful. So that's why you're running monster hand traps in Dracotail. That's something I want to get across. You want to only really run monster hand traps because if you're running too many spells or traps, you aren't going to be able to have a monster in hand to fuse off for your Dracotail engine. Now, I think other builds, such as the more of a branded centric build, will end up running more spells or traps. That is, you know, fine in that case, but I think for the pure variant, you want to try to minimize it. So that's why we're only running the Rahu and then the Ketu, which is just a Rhoda that also board breaks because it helps you fusion summon if your opponent controls a single monster. So going second, you could use this search like whatever, a Urgula, and then go effective Ketu on resolution to then just fuse. So like it's very good. It's very good. And then this one, so this one's usually a 1 to 3 of in like kind of a pure variant. I'm running a bunch of hand traps, but I think King of the Swamp is something that you guys have seen in a lot of builds. I think this is becoming less popular though, but when Dragoon got unbanned, it was very popular in the OCG around the time Dracotail came out. King of the Swamp, you guys will see, helps us get into the Dragoon here, guys, which helps you play through hand traps, of course. I don't love Dragoon in this deck, but I think the King of the Swamp also doubles as a Fallen of Albaz, which we are running as a 1 of because this deck can use seals. You don't get fusion locked on everything in a grind game. You can very easily like make a Spirit and then go into a seals or an SP and still have a very good time. That's why we're also running the Typhon for just some extra deck board breaking. So yeah, guys, and then the side deck is just something I feel like would be good into Yummy, K9, and then the Mitsurugi meta that we're going to be having, plus Malice. We can't forget about that with the artifact Lancia with Orcust, of course, and then also K9 Crystron. So I think Lancia will still be great into the next meta. So yeah, guys, I'm going to show you some combos now that I've explained all the cards. I know that was long-winded, but I feel like that was very important. Now, you might be wondering, do you have to run the Albaz engine, and should we be running other variants of Dracotail? I think the other variants aren't as good as the pure variant. I think pure is basically the best with like having an engine. I think in the OCG you see a lot of K9 Dracotail, which between me and you guys, that is a pure variant, right? Because the K9 stuff is only there to trigger off of your opponent hand trapping you, which might happen, but in this meta with everybody running K9 VS projected to be the best deck, I think a lot of the time that hand traps aren't going to be that useful. Now, we do have to run monster hand traps in this build, so this deck doesn't have the best VS K9 matchup. And also it has a tougher time into Yummy sometimes because of Herald of the Arclight. And then, of course, the issue with not running just Spellboard Breakers, but that's what we have this side deck for. And this deck is just very low to the ground and very useful. So I still like the Fallen of Albaz, because the Branded Fusion does bridge you into the Dracotail engine, and this is just an incredible one-card starter. And also Cartesia is incredible in this deck. It's basically another Muller that you can use as discard fodder, and then also it can make your Albaz Fusions or your other cards, especially pairs well with the King of the Swamp and Chaos Star Source in this deck. So I do just like having it. I could see myself expanding on it, but I do have the Fusion deployment to either choose between the Fallen of Albaz or Cartesia and skip the normal summon, because sometimes this deck can have a normal summon issue if you don't have an extender, of course. And then also for the last two cards, we have the Dracotail Flame and the Dracotail Horn. These are what you're going to be setting off of your Dracotail effects once you're towards the end of your combo. This is what can make your end board very good in under 5 summons, because all your Dracotail effects are triggering and they're setting traps that draw you a card. They both draw you a card, but they also put a Dracotail card from your graveyard or banishment to the bottom of your deck, so all your cards recur themselves, so you have infinite grind game with this deck. Very good grind game. But the Flame targets one spell on the field and negates its effect until the end of this turn. And then also the Horn targets one attack position monster on the field, return to the hand or extract, and does the same thing. So these are great interruptions that you're going to be able to have on top of Altharion. And then, of course, the Dracotail Grammel, which we didn't explain before, but if you activate a Dracotail card or effect, quick effect, you can target one card your opponent controls and destroy it. And then, of course, they both have their graveyard effects if 2 or more monsters are sent to the graveyard at the same time, aka when a fusion summon occurs. While this card is in the graveyard, you can special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. So it's just great recurrence for giving yourself bodies. So this deck, you know, it does require a lot of card advantage to get its combos off, but you're always just generating so much and setting yourself up for an incredible grind game that it ends up being worth it, and it works. So yeah, guys, let's get into these combos, and once again, leave a like down below and let's get into this. Alright, so now we're going to get into the combo portion of the video. This is going to be the 1-card Lucius combo for the Dracotails. So we go normal summon Lucius. We need 1 monster, like I said, for most of these combos, and we're going to get the Phimina. We're going to use the Phimina effect now to fuse off the 1 monster in hand plus the Lucius and get our Altharion. Altharion on fusion summon will then target our Phimina in graveyard to get back, since we still can use that pretty well, and then we can go Lucius effect to then set a Rahu Dracotail. This is very, very important, because then we can go Rahu, sending the Phimina. We have yet to use its graveyard effect, and then this is also very important, sending the Urgula. This is kind of the recursion tree that you get with Dracotail cards, because Urgula plus Phimina in graveyard is just so much advantage. So then we get out to the Grammel, which is another interruption on our opponent's turn. We then get to go Urgula, Phimina to then set 2 Dracotail traps from our deck. We'll get the Horde and the Flame, obviously, and then we will then go for the Urgula effect at the end of our combo to then put herself back to the bottom, and then put the Phimina into our hand so that we have combos on our opponent's turn. We can obviously destroy an attack position monster, or sorry, return an attack position monster, negate a spell, pop a card, and then use Phimina effect to fuse off our monsters on the field. We also get to draw 2 cards, so Phimina can get us into an Albaz fusion, into a Dragoon, or just into another Altharion bounce. Alright, so this is going to be the 1.5 card Rahu Dracotail combo. It's very similar to this last combo, but this is what happens if you open Rahu. So we send the Fulos to the graveyard, sending the Phimina to the graveyard, and then we make the Altharion. Altharion will target the Phimina. We will then be able to go Phimina effect, though, since we used her as a fusion material to then set the Ketu Dracotail, and then we get the Phimina back to hand. We can then go Ketu effect to then get the Dracotail Lucius. Since we haven't used our normal summon yet, we can then go Lucius effect. Lucius effect will then get the Urgula, of course, because we always want to pair Phimina with Urgula, and then we can go Phimina effect to fuse off the Lucius plus the Urgula to then connect into the Grammel, which gives us our full Dracotail combo, because Lucius plus the Urgula will then trigger and then sets up our 2 traps with the Flame and the Horn. And then, of course, we do have the Urgula plus the Phimina in the graveyard to then recur back the Phimina to hand, so that off of our 2 draws, we can then have even more interruptions. So that's like 4 to 5 interruptions just off of that combo. All right, so for this combo, this is going to be your 1-card Muller. Well, 2-card Muller. You can either open up a hand trap for this combo, or you could open up another Dracotail. It's just going to give you 1 more trap if you open up the Dracotail. So I'm going to show you guys the combo if you open the Dracotail. Obviously, just fine if you open up a normal hand trap. So we'll go Muller, sending the generic Dracotail name to make the Altharion. Altharion effect will then recur back the Muller, and then we can obviously trigger both effects of the Dracotail names that were just used to make the Altharion for this combo, to then get our Rahu Dracotail plus the Ketu Dracotail. And we can get back the Muller to hand, and then we can go the Ketu effect to then get our Lucius, to get our Phimina. I just baited myself, and now we can go into the Rahu Dracotail, sending the Phimina since we have not used its effect yet, and then sending the Urgula from deck to connect into our Grammel, and then we can go Phimina effect plus Urgula effect to set the 2 traps at this point, and then we can obviously just go Phimina or Urgula effect to get the Phimina back to hand. And since we have the Muller in hand, we can then make a Chaos Star Source on our opponent's turn if we want to, or Draco Stapelia if you end up running that, or just depending on what your draws are. That's why I do like this combo as well, because you get the Muller, which gives us a really good, generic material to fuse off with the Phimina already. So yeah, guys, you see how those 3 combos, they're all kind of similar. They all kind of go to the same place, but they all just take 1.5 cards, and it's really crazy, honestly, this deck, what it generates under like 5 cards. All right, so this is the really cool combo, guys. Like I said, my next video will be on the full branded Dracotail video, because I think that you can actually run more extensive build, which may or may not be better than this pure build, but for now, this is why you should run a single branded fusion plus a few branded cards, because it's just so good with your engine. It makes seals so much better too. So we can go branded fusion. All you need is 1 monster discard plus any other discard. So we go branded fusion, sending the Fallen of Albaz plus the Dracotail Muller, which is our engine bridge. Then we can go into the Lubellion, chain block it with discarding our first discard, and then we can go to fuse back from field from field bash or graveyard, and then we can go Muller effect to trigger, and we will get the Ketu Dragontail since we have not normaled yet, and we will go into the Fallen of Albaz, of course, into the Mirror Jade, and now we can go into the Ketu Dracotail to then get the Dracotail Lucius, and then we can go Lucius effect and get the Phimina, and we're basically just doing Dracotail from here, right? On top of having a Mirror Jade, which is really cool. We didn't even have to have a Dracotail card exactly, so we send our monster to the graveyard that we had in hand to then use for cost Phimina's effect in hand to discard for cost to fuse from field, so we'll fuse off the discard in hand plus the Lucius to get into the Altharion. Altharion will then target the Phimina, and then, of course, the Lucius will then trigger to then get a Rahu Dracotail, and then we can go into the Rahu Dracotail, and then sending the Phimina plus the Urgula to go into the Grammel, and then Grammel can pop a card, and then we also get our 2 Dracotail trap cards as well. And then we can also go into the Urgula effect, obviously, to get the Phimina from graveyard once again. And then you basically can make either like a Stapelia, right? You'll draw 2 cards. Maybe you'll be able to get into a Chaos Star Source. So it's just a lot. It's better than your standard Dracotail end board, right? So this is why I think if like Branded Fusion ever goes to 2 or 3, it will be the best engine in Dracotail by far, because it just makes the end board way better. It does require 2 discards, but you're like drawing, it's just Dragontail, right? Like you make back all of your card advantage, right? So yeah, guys, what did you think of the video? What do you think of Dracotail? Are you going to be playing it this format? I love this deck, honestly. I think I'm going to be playing definitely a version with Albaz because it's my favorite deck, but I'm not biased here in terms of running it. This is a build that was very similar to a list that won a tournament in Japan that was quite large. And there are also multiple pure lists that have Cartesia in it that have done very well. So we're just using that. And then King of the Swamp is just a cool synergy with Albaz, but I don't think it's necessary because Dragoon isn't the best card. It isn't the win all be all, but it's actually very good into VS. To be fair, it's a very good card into Vanquish Soul. So it is a card that you can consider for that matchup just to blow it out a little bit. This is how I would run pure Dracotail. What did you think? I think all the combos are super good. Has one of the best grind games I've ever seen. And like I compared it to before, it's almost just like if Voiceless Voice was a fusion deck. Essentially, it just has it's very low to the ground and it plays very well, can still run hand traps, can still run links, which is very solid. And I think it has a decent matchup into the newer decks, but it has a pretty good matchup into like all the other decks, I think. So overall, I think that you guys should check it out, and I think you'll be happy with this deck. It's also going down in price, so I think, you know, if you want to take people by surprise this next meta, I think Dracotail's the way, whether you run the pure version or another version. Of course, there are a lot of other versions that we didn't mention before. There's the Dragon Maid version, the Primite version, the Fiendsmith version, and also the Magistus version. If you guys want to see a video on those, please let me know down in the comments and we'll get it done. I wanted to get the pure video out, and once again, these were all pure combos, right? So you don't need to run the Albaz plus the Mirror Jade package if you don't want to. You could always replace it with something else, but I like having that little pizzazz, you know, making your seals better, and then also having the power card in Branded Fusion, making Cartesia better. We could even run more fusion deployment in the future, just depending on how it works out. But yeah, guys, what did you think? Let me know down below, and once again, if this video gets 150 likes, we will get there. Also, once again, I have a Dracotail spreadsheet down in the description where you can find all these combos plus a few more and a bunch of other branded and Mitsurugi and Ryzeal combos. I basically update combos for any deck I play on the channel there. So yeah, guys, if you own the spreadsheet already, go check it out. We've been updating and refreshing some of the combos there. So yeah, guys, have a great day. Love you guys. Stay safe. Subscribe today. We are the road to 20,000 subscribers. I would appreciate it. Have a great day.